A pleasant good morning to our ardent radio listeners of ZIZ and frequent listeners of Policing With You, both home and abroad, those on social media. My name is Sergeant Matthew Maguire, and for today's program, Policing With You, we want to explore issues relating to police media relations and how crime affects the community, the media and the law, and how can the media assist in the crime efforts of the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force. And this is against the backdrop, if you might not be aware, on the 3rd, yesterday was observed as World Press Freedom Day, and so I think that is quite fitting that this topic of discussion has been chosen. And so with me I have the police public relations officer, Miss Leslie. She will later introduce herself, and we will be joined online by the second vice president of the Media Association, Mr. Jermaine Ibel. So Leslie, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Leslie Joseph. As Officer Maguire would have indicated, I am the Public Relations Officer for the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force. I am also the Communications Officer for the Ministry of National Security, and I am quite thrilled to be here this morning.
All right, so let me, in the meantime, while we await our guests to join us online, let me just give context to the discourse today. And I want to share with the listening audience a research that was done by the Institute of Criminology and Sociological Research Center in Serbia on the influence of the media on crime prevention. Now, this paper aims to show the influence of mass media and adoption to the message about crime, which media sends to consumer. It has been established that the media have an important role in the process of development of personality, and it can either be positive or negative. The positive influence of the media is undeniably in all societies. The contemporary society has a wide spectrum of types of communication to which consumers react. And so multiple research have shown the influence of reporting on violence, crime, and other social deviation is twofold. They can either be a warning or prevention, but can stimulate adoption of negative types of behavior. And so the media often use stimulation, sensationalism, and present biased impression or events such as hard crimes, and sometimes therefore create an impression of the acute danger of insecurity in the society, and the prevalent emphasizing of hard crimes with detailed description of events and images tend to stimulate imagination and fantasies of a number of consumers. And so reporting on crime can, in the long run, lead to acceptance of violence and aggression in real life. The influence of the media can be measured through its role in stimulation of imagination. They can, in fact, inspire individuals to imitate the negative patterns of behavior and identify with notorious criminals, and this can cause the media to slip into a dangerous zone and become an educational or a security risk. The question of the relationship between the mass media and crime has been addressed in several researches. The traditional media can, as has been shown, can have a positive role in given the context. And so this positive role of the mass media is their ability to affect public perception of crime as a harmful social phenomenon. They can also gather information about crime, affect the efficiency of the prosecution of criminal cases, and have a control role in the investigative activities of the police and monitor the work of the institution that are fighting against crime. And so we have today with us online Mr. Jomin Aiblo, and so this discussion is going to take the format in different segments where we are going to explore the police media relations. And so Mr. Bradley, could you check to make sure that Mr. Aiblo is hearing us? Because I want to bring him in so that he can introduce himself, and then I will do so by asking him a question. Right. So Mr. Aiblo, while you introduce yourself to the audience, I want to also bring you in on this by asking you this question. It is said that the media is the fourth arm of government and operates solely in the dissemination of information in the public interest. As a media professional, how far do you think your civic responsibility goes in crime fighting?
Good morning. Again, good morning to the listeners and your guest in studio there. Our role correctly is the fourth estate. As a fourth estate, we go beyond just reporting. We are the ones who are responsible for ensuring that, one, the information is disseminated, two, that democracy is held at its highest, and our civic responsibility in general is to educate the public, whether it takes any aspects of society in general, and we often tend to focus on that, educate the public, inform the public, give them the factual information. But when it comes to crime, mainstream media and not generally social media aspect of it, but mainstream media in and of itself, we tend to focus primarily in getting the information out there, highlighting the issues that are affecting the population. It might come over a bit harsh in general, where we look at the way in which it's being reported, but there's no way that we can sugarcoat the facts to say Mr. Abel stumped his toes and broke his leg. You can't sugarcoat that. You just give the facts, and that's as media professionals and mainstream media seek to do. And our civic responsibility is to inform the public and give them that factual information in general.
Follow-up is that, what do you think are some of the key challenges in police and media relations today?
Well, one of the biggest challenges that we have is accessing the information. And it's not just with the police, but across all government agencies, but accessing information to properly tell the story and relay the information and context to the public is the biggest issue we have as mainstream media. And this was highlighted recently during the workshop, Media and the Law workshop that we had, where the Deputy Commissioner commented on the laws and how we can build relationships. And that in general was the consensus, in the room, that accessing the information is one of the biggest challenges. In terms of police, I think getting the police force to speak more with the media context so the public can understand is another area that we've been challenged with. I mean, the new PRO, she said in interviews with us that she's open, she's forthcoming, she can be easily accessed via various means. But in general, oftentimes timely information was one of the issues that we had, and it might not be, and I'm not blaming the former PR or anybody, but the communication, the line of communication was what was the biggest challenge with us. Something might happen at X time, sometimes we would not be able to get that information in a timely manner that we can put it out. And oftentimes it needs to get the heavy criticism from the public in general when we report, but when there's no information, we cannot see anything. So the public sometimes do not understand that, and actually getting the factual information to report it is what one of the issues that we also had. But I want to say this, because both the mainstream media as well as the police force have been coming in for criticisms in recent times over the reporting of sexual offences. And I think if we can get the police more to inform the public and get them to understand why there's oftentimes limited information coming out with regards to sexual offences, that would be critical for the public to understand why the information oftentimes is scarce, or you get the bare bones, as we would say, in the reporting of sexual offences.
Well, you will appreciate with sexual offences by nature, it is a sensitive type of investigation, and so you have the victim to protect and other circumstances surrounding it. But I do agree that is an area or a challenge that we can look at in strengthening the relationship. But nonetheless, I have with me the police public relations officer, Leslie. And so I will let Leslie introduce with this question. How do you define police public relations, what it does, and what role it plays in media relations?
Starting me off with a three-part question.
Yes.
Okay, so with regards to public relations and police, there are a bit more hoops to jump through. As you rightly pointed out, with regards to certain types of cases, the police has to be very cognizant of what type of information they put out.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have to protect the victim's rights, we also have to acknowledge the fact that our people are easily incensed when it comes to certain things, and as wrong as the crime is, you still cannot essentially paint a bullseye on anybody's back. In the pursuit of justice, you have to take very careful steps with regards to informing the public.
Right.
What's the next part of the question?
Yeah, what it does and how it plays a role in media relations.
Right. So police public relations, the point of it is to keep the public abreast of what the police do, insofar as they can reveal the information. I have been in the role a short time, and I have already realized that police do a significant amount of work, and the public is largely unaware of 80% of it. But I also realize why the public is unaware of 80% of it, because there's a lot of what the police does. You cannot tell the people. You literally cannot tell the public blow by blow. The police do this, they do that. We collect reports for XYZ, ABC, da 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 da. You can't do that. Police still have to protect or keep out of the media certain information, especially when there are ongoing investigations. Anything that could tip off somebody, you can't put it in the media. It's essentially killing the investigation. So the focus for police public relations is to help the public understand that in the pursuit of justice, we will provide you with as much information as we possibly can.
Right. Even the updating of the victim and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. What we tell you is what we can tell you at this time, because it's one thing for the public to be miffed that they don't know certain things, but it's another thing for them to get highly upset and say, oh, the police, they can't catch anybody, they're not convicting anybody, what's the point, etc., etc. So it's either they want all the information and nobody gets, justice falls flat,
Right.
or justice is sought and achieved and you get the information in stages
Right.
as the police is allowed to issue it.
Right. So, Mr. Iblo, let me bring you in and ask you, what do you think is the role of the public in policing the police? Mr. Iblo?
Okay, can you repeat the question? Yeah.
Repeat the question.
Yes, I was asking, what do you think is the role, how the public and the police should hold each other accountable to itself? So the public responsibility in crime fighting, and at the same time, how the public can hold the police, keep the police accountable in relation as a partnership in crime fighting. How do you think that should be shaped? From
Well, put it this way. The public always hold the police accountable, but they hold the police to an exceptionally high standard when it comes to crime fighting. It's like something, like for a typical example, sorry to be using this as an example. We had that incident recorded last. The public in general wants to know that the person who is held responsible for that incident is caught and prosecuted the next morning. But they don't understand the intricacies, as Leslie would have alluded in her comments just now. That there's steps and processes in which the police have to go through in order to come out with a successful prosecution. I know we as media people, we hold very high standards when it comes to the success of cases, but the public in general do not fully understand, and I think this is where the public are holding the police accountable. They're not getting the necessary information, the updated information that is needed in a timely manner for them to completely understand real cases. I understand that there must be taken to protect both the victims, the identity of the perpetrator in some instances, but I think the issue is the sharing of information is what causes criticisms and all of that, and I think that is where now the public begin to question and hold the police accountable. And then it spills over into the media, because when a family member is concerned after 6-7 months, they're not hearing anything about a specific case, then they tend to raise concerns that the matter has been swept under the carpet. And then is when we now come out, as somebody, as I was told once, we come out with a big stick, hold the police accountable, because you're not hearing any, you're not getting any updates. The public's not getting any information, the media's not getting any information. So then this then leads those people in the public, the police, for not sharing information, and this is where I think they hold the police accountable in crime fighting because of that lack of information. And in general, long story short, police's communication, I think, would be key to that relationship, even though you're being held accountable.
Thank you. So Leslie, picking up from where Mr. Iblo left off, how important do you think it is for police departments to maintain positive relationship with the media?
Oh, I think it's exceptionally important, because the media is crucial with regards to keeping the public abreast of what is happening. And from my experience working in the public relations and communications arena, it really does not matter what you're doing or how well you're doing it, so long as the people you're doing it for are clueless. You cannot tell them everything, but you have to put aside information that you can package to keep them properly informed. Because ultimately, the public does not really want every single tiny detail because they have no use for it. They just want to know, is something being done? Yes. What is being done? We are doing this, where we have completed this report. This investigation is about 50 to 65% complete, and we will have an update for the public in 1 to 2 weeks. They said, okay, and in the event that someone is supposed to be charged and so on and so forth, in the event XYZ person is to be charged, this is what will happen. The public, they just want to know that from this, you've started, what you're doing in the middle, a general synopsis of it, and this is how it will end.
Yes. And so while you're at that, how important you think public relations in police work and the methods that the police should employ to continue that relationship or improve that relationship?
Oh, at least 200% is important. The police work for the people and with the people.
And serve the people.
Exactly. You're working with the people, you're working for the people, and
And you're
altogether,
serving the people.
you're serving the people. If the people do not trust you or they cannot relate to you, what you're doing will not matter.
And so you think this will lend to reassurance and public confidence a great
indeed.
deal?
Yes, indeed. It would definitely have people, as you said, place a significantly higher amount of trust in the police as opposed to trusting themselves. I mean, I have seen so many accounts of vigilante justice in other countries, sadly, and when some people would decry it, I don't support it, but when you look at the justice system that's in place in the country and the fact that it does not work or it's not functioning as it should, you kind of understand why. So it's highly important for the police to always keep in mind who they're working for. Why are you here? Why are you doing this? You're doing this to serve and protect the people.
And I agree with you because, we have this promotion in terms of the Crime Stoppers, that we say, if you say something, say something. And I think once the public is having that frequency of information and they feel a part of, and they begin to accept that civic responsibility to in fact walk along with the police to share information and even to assist where necessary in terms of that. So I do agree with that. But tell me what you like, about public relations. You're in public relations. What do you like about it?
Yes, I love it because it challenges me. It challenges me to develop better communication skills, both professionally and personally. It's also fulfilling to me because it helps, I get to see people at ease once you've helped them understand something that was either complicated to them or was not put to them in the first place. I am very much aware of the fact that people need to know what is happening, where they're living. It gives everyone a sense of peace and a sense of control over their environs, so to speak. Right.
Yes. So, Mr. Aiblo, before we take a break, because we will take a quick break, and Mr. Bradley, I just want to advise our listening audience, because of the nature of the discussion, we will have a segment for callers. So if anybody have any burning questions that they may want to ask after we take the break, you can weigh in while we are having the discussion, because there are quite of issues to discuss, and so we would not be able to cover everything, and at the same time provide a segment for the listening audience to call in. So you will have to weigh in as the thing. Once you call in, we can break our discussion and then we can take a question. So before we go to the break, let me hear from Mr. Aiblo. how do you feel the media plays a role in police relations with the public? And if they do, how? Do you feel the media plays a role in police relations? And if they do, tell us how. Mr. Iblo? Okay, seems as though we have lost him. So, yeah, we'll just take a quick break at this point, and then when we come back, we will rejoin with him.
Tell me what you think about Marcus. Tell me what you think about Christ. Made their sacrifice now. Tell me what you think about equal rights for all, everywhere. Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about justice. What you know, what you know, what you know, what you know about love. Why all the segregation, all are but one nation. Oh, let us unite as one. Let us unite as one. Tell me what you know about love. Tell me what you know about hate that keeps us separated. Tell me what you think about equal rights for all.
Welcome back. We continue our discussion. Mr. Iblo, are you there? He's back with us. If we are not hearing you, maybe apparently your mic is muted, so you can just unmute your mic. I'll say something so we know that you're with us. Okay. All right. While we get that started, Leslie, tell us how does you think how do you think that the media should have access in police investigations and crime, like at crime scene, and why or why not?
Well, the media's access, like the public's access at any crime scene, should be moderated, strictly moderated, for the simple fact that crime scenes require processing and you cannot risk any contamination, because that will essentially thwart everything the police and the media are trying to do. You're trying to catch a perpetrator, you need to collect every single shred of evidence at the scene, and you cannot risk anyone coming in and disturbing anything, because then it is useless.
Right.
I do think the media has the right and should ask certain questions at the scene. However, they should be cognizant of the fact that whatever the incident is, it has just occurred, and the information that the police will be able to provide them will be very limited. Because depending on the nature of the criminal infraction,
and so do you
have to...
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
That's okay. Depending on the nature of the infraction committed, the police cannot put out information that would tip off anybody. An investigation has to be started.
Right.
Now, in the course of the investigation, I definitely expect the media to have some questions, but they too should also expect that the police would only be able to give them limited information once again. And in so doing, patience and understanding are crucial.
Right.
Because the police is not trying to withhold information from the media. The police cannot do anything with the information. You cannot take it to the bank. But in the pursuit of justice, you have to be very mindful of what you say and when you say what you say.
Right. I agree. And so while we wait for Mr. Ivler to shine in, is he with us, Mr. Bradley? Okay. And so, how do you think... Oh, there are 2 callers? Yeah, we could take the 2 callers. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you for your program, Policing with Us.
Yes.
My question is this. I want to state and then question it after. I think the police resources can be deployed in a more meaningful way and satisfying to the public way. Because I see too many police being deployed the wrong place at the wrong time. Too many of them one place. Why should the Prime Minister want so many police around him? What happened to 1 or 2 police? If a hail should drop out of the cloud, nobody on earth could stop a hail from hitting anybody in the head. Yes, police can stop me from going in and want to shake the Prime Minister's hand if he walking down the road because I know you can't come here. But why so many police one place? They can be deployed other places, meaningful places. That's my question. I don't think that is right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, and so in response to the caller that I think the caller was raising the issue of allocation of resources, and so that's an administrative function, caller, and so I would not be able to provide the answer that you as direct as you have asked it. But what I will attempt to say that allocation of resources can be done in many different ways. It's done based on matter of priority, and not only by matter based on the basis of priority, but it can also be done on the basis of the interest of national security. And so cases like, as you alluded to, the head of state, the Prime Minister, that it is fair and reasonable to say that is a matter of high priority and is one of national security interest. And so in terms of the numbers and allocation, I don't think that might be that would be something that I can provide the answer to you as to the inadequacy or the adequacy too much of, because that those are administrative decisions. Leslie?
I'd just like to chime in on that. With regards to the number of law enforcement personnel assigned to a head of state or the leader of a country, I think that for far too long, we in the Caribbean, well, we in St. Kitts, let me narrate back down to us, we've taken the security of government officials for granted. It's a change that needed to be made. And I realized that the previous administration actually made that change as well. There was an increase in the number of police that accompanied him. In truth and in fact, that's how it's supposed to be. It's not an overuse or a misuse of law enforcement resources. The head of state is supposed to have a security convoy. We've taken it for granted that because we're familiar with the persons that we elect to government, that their positions are not highly sensitive, and as such they should be properly protected. As time progresses, security risks globally increase.
Right.
Criminals get smarter, they become more savvy, they accomplish their nefarious goals faster. We can't be caught on our back foot. So I think it's a very good change to have heads of state and government officials, the top government officials, properly secured wherever they have to go.
Right, and to add to that, as the caller would have talked about allocation of resources in crime fighting efforts, there are several departments and units
Indeed.
that where the resources are also available, and so we in discussing the issue, as I was asking Leslie, how do you think we have another call? We'll take that call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Hi, young lady, good morning.
Good
A
morning.
quick question. Yeah. I realize you have a gentleman from the media, something Able, that's what you call him?
Yes, yes.
And the
Jermaine Ivo,
program.
Mr. Jermaine Ivo.
No, I'm just
Okay.
asking this question out of willful behavior. How come you all don't have somebody from the EMS department and that program? And the reason why I'm asking that question, I know, because I'm speaking as a past EMT, I know that there were many times you had a crime scene, for example, GSW gunshot wound, and EMTs were being barred by the police from going into that scene. So I think that this program, you all should have an EMT or somebody from the health department, because the police, from my understanding, the police cannot pronounce someone dead. Neither a EMT, but the EMT should be able to assess that person and see if he or she still appears to have life. And if in their opinion they don't realize anything, then the doctor is being called in. But sometimes police, I don't know if it's out of arrogance or what the case may be, even EMTs can't get into the scene. So I believe, the program is a good program, but I believe somebody from the health department, who probably might have been representing the EMS department, should have been on that program, because when you have a case of a gunshot wound, the media can't do nothing. The police can't do nothing. It's the EMS or the health department who have to stabilize, if that person is still alive, that patient, and get him or her to the nearest medical facility for him to be treated. Have a good day.
Right. Thank you very much, Carla, for your input. And today's program was really focusing on the police media relations. And I do understand the suggestion that was made. Perhaps in future programs, that is something that can be considered, where we can take it in the form of the key personnel that are essential to in relation to dealing with the matters of crime. But since we have Mr. Eibler back with us, I will want Mr. Eibler to weigh in for us, and how can public relations be used to respond to negative media coverage? How do you think public relations can be used to media negative media coverage?
Okay, well, speaking from the standpoint of police public relations, all we can do is put out the facts. If what the media is saying is accurate, but there's a negative spin on it, oftentimes there's not much you can do, and in some instances, even when you can do something, it is not worth the police's time, because ultimately the truth will prevail. So long as the information that the police can issue to the public is issued in a timely manner, the people will be edified accordingly.
Right.
So it's perfectly fine if the media wants to put their spin on it. Different media houses have their own agendas, and
but
they're free to do that.
shouldn't it be that as part of the police media relation that there should be a thriving towards really making sure that the public gets the accurate information?
Yes, ideally. However, we do have to remember that the media is doing what they have to do to sustain their media house and platform. We cannot escape that fact. They definitely have a civic responsibility because they are members of society.
Right.
So they do have a basic civic responsibility. However, it is still a business, and understand that businesses have their agendas.
Right.
So while they are seen as allies to the police, always understand that there is going to be a line of demarcation. Even if it's not there, it should be a mental one where you understand that this is the information. Yes, we provide the media with the information, we provide the public with the information. Just because the police packaged the information in a particular way, that does not mean the media won't unpack it and repackage it how they see fit. What matters is if in their repackaging they've skewed or misrepresented the facts.
Right.
That's all you can pay attention to.
Right. Mr. Ivlo, we apologize. You seem to be having some technical difficulties, and so we didn't get the opportunity to ask you some of the sobering questions, and we have just a few minutes to go before we come to an end. So I will just ask you, invite your thoughts, and you can just give a summation of the whole discourse today, and what you think going forward that can improve the police media relations.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's technology, you know. And we always, the Media Association and the media, we're always open to being part of the program to educate the public in general in terms of what we do and how we do and ways in which we can partner with the police. But the discourse that we had this morning is really, really good. It educates all part of educating the public on the role of the media and the police and how we can work in conjunction to create a better environment, both in crime fighting and safety and security for the public. But yes, the media can do more in terms of disseminating the information, disseminating factual information, as well as the police force can also, despite the challenges that we have, can do a bit more in terms of informing the public, whether it be strategies to fight crime, the crimes themselves, or general information regarding the law itself. And, you know, I raised the issue of sexual offenses because we have gone to tongue on it, the media have gone to tongue on it, various media houses, that we cannot do certain things because we're constrained by the law. But people still raise the same question over and over. And I think the public, the police force in general, can do a bit more, maybe through your program or other media programs, in order to educate the public on certain aspects of the law and what can and cannot be done through the information that's disseminated from the police. Media-wise, you know, we would love for more engagements with the police force so we can better inform the public. I mean, there are a lot of issues that we have, you know, that we have relayed to the police, especially the Deputy Commissioner recently, that we believe, you know, can assist us in informing the public more
in terms of disseminating information in general. But all in all, I would say thanks. The police have been doing a good job in informing the public. Ms. Joseph, she came into the position recently and she has been on the ball. The media has not been as bad as they normally be to the previous one, to Ms. Joseph, just yet. Right, but it's early days. But the police, we have to commend you guys for the work that you've been doing in informing us, providing us the timely information that we can disseminate to the public. But one of the things I want to tell the public is you have to be conscious and cognizant that not all information will be released immediately. So you have to bear with us, you have to bear with the police force. Do not necessarily criticize us when you don't see all the information coming out at once. We are working behind the scenes to get the information to you. We have been pressuring the police to give us the information, but they can only release so much at a time. So when we get it, we release it to you. Right, so we're on the ball as well. I know we get flack, I know we get criticized, but when you do that, we go to the police and we hold them accountable as well. So all right. Yes, thanks for the opportunity, and we're always available to be part of your program.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Ibler, for joining us. I appreciate the fact that even though you are not with us locally, but you have made yourself available to speak to us on this important topic. And so, in wrapping up, because we have just 1 minute, in fact we are over time. Leslie, 15 seconds to give your final words, and then I will wrap up.
Well, I can say that going forward, media relations between the police and the media will definitely improve. I can attest to that fact because they'll be dealing with me.
Right. I really this topic, I think that there is still a lot
indeed
to really ventilate in relation to that, but I think this is a good first step, and I look forward to have forum and platforms like this to continue so that we can endeavor to really build the relationship between the police and the media, because we recognize the importance, just as how the media, the public needs the media to inform them. Similar, so the police needs the media to also highlight to the public what is it that the police is doing. So it's a very significant relationship, and we we are happy for this opportunity. So let me thank the general public and ZIZ for this opportunity, another segment of Policing with You. Until next week, good morning, and enjoy the rest of your morning.
Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about justice. What you know, what you know, what you know.